Jordan. Let's bring in Ohio GOP Congressman Jim Jordan, member of the House Judiciary Committee and the House Oversight and Reform Committee, and author of the new book, Do What You Said You Would Do, Fighting for Freedom in the Swamp. And you have been doing that, Congressman, so thanks so much for joining us. Let's talk about the President of the United States. He was on NBC, and he had this surprise phone call, and he says that America is back. But the Americans at home don't feel that way, Congressman. What say you?
No, there isn't one policy they've done that's been any good for the country this year. And, of course, the biggest thing right now is inflation. You know, you want to buy a home, it's going to cost more. You want to rent an apartment, it's going to cost more. To put food on the table, it costs more. To put gas in your car, it costs more. And, of course, Thanksgiving turkey and now Christmas presents all cost more. We're at a 31-year high in inflation. And they can say what they want, but the American people understand it for what it is. So what was it, like 4 weeks ago, Joe Biden said now, if we pass his, quote, Build Back Better plan, another $2 trillion in spending, somehow that's going to help inflation. There is not a rational, sane person on the planet who believes that. So, yeah, their policies have been bad across the board. And it seems to me it's intentional because they just keep making things worse, whether it's the border, whether it's inflation, you name it. That's the situation. So I think the American people fully understand it.
Well, you bring up a good point. It's intentional. I mean, at least with energy costs, I do think it's intentional, Congressman.
Yeah. No, it sure is. Remember, 3 weeks ago in committee, Ro Khanna, a Democrat member of Congress, we have the CEOs of the oil and gas companies in there, and Ro Khanna was badgering the witnesses saying, will you pledge today? Will you promise to decrease production? And I'm like, the same time you're trying to get American companies to decrease production, you got the President of the United States begging OPEC to increase production. I asked him in the hearing, I said, what do you guys want, $8 gasoline? And the truth is they do. They're this committed to their crazy Green New Deal policies. They actually want to harm American families. And I hate to say that because you wouldn't think guys in elective office would really want to do that to their constituents and to our country. But in fact, they do. The border has to be intentional. 1.7 million illegal crossings this year. What they're doing to the price of goods and services has to be intentional with their crazy spending. And now they're going to make it even worse by putting tax increases, if they pass this plan, putting tax increases on the very people who've been busting their tail trying to help their family over the last several months. Yeah.
You know, Congressman, President Trump in his message yesterday said good times are ahead, essentially, kind of alluding to maybe running in 2024. But first we have 2022, we have the midterms coming up, and the tea leaves say you guys are in a good place to take back the House at least. I know the Democrats in the House haven't quite been a rubber stamp for these big spending bills, but they've passed them. What is going to be top of list for Republicans in the House with President Biden, you know, still in office, but you guys taking the House and having a chance to have an effect?
Doing investigations. I mean, we have to get to the bottom of the fact that the Justice Department of the United States is actually treating parents as domestic terrorists, has the FBI Counterterrorism Division send out an email to FBI agents around the country. The whistleblower came forward and gave us this information. We got to get to the bottom of that. And frankly, we got to stop that. The idea that they're doing that to moms and dads who are simply going to school board meetings, speaking up and defending their kids and saying they don't want this racist, hate America curriculum taught to their children. So doing the investigations there, how did the IRS release thousands of Americans' tax returns? So there's all kinds of things we have to get to the bottom of. I do think we're going to take back the House, and if we do, we have to do those investigations. And I do think President Trump is going to run again. I hope he does. I would bet the farm that he's going to do it, and I think when he does, he's going to win. And no one did. Talking about the title of our book, no one did more of what he said he would do than President Trump. That's why we need him back in the White House.
So let's talk. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
So let's talk about the agenda, because you got Massachusetts Senator Ed Markey confident. He said that the Senate will deliver the Build Back Better bill to Biden's desk before Christmas. Now, it already passed the House. No Republican voted for that bill. It'll make its way to the Senate. Based on the procedure, they still need Sinema. They still need Manchin to vote for this bill, so we know they're going to water it down. Then it's going to make its way back to the House for another vote. So the question I have for you, Congressman, is will there be any member from your party in the GOP that votes for this bill like they did during infrastructure?
No, there won't. I don't think there'll be any Republican in the Senate or the House vote for this crazy piece of legislation. And frankly, Lawrence, let's hope Senator Sinema and Senator Manchin hold firm and they don't allow this thing to pass, because we know it's going to exacerbate the inflation problem we talked about. We know, I mean, it's part of the Democrats' crazy crazy economic plan. Their economic plan has basically been lock down the economy, spend like crazy, pay people not to work. And now for everyone who has been working, oh, they're getting ready to raise your taxes. Such a deal. So let's hope this thing doesn't pass, because it'll make matters worse. And right now the country gets it. 71% of the country thinks we're on the wrong track. In my time in politics, I don't know if I've ever seen wrong track numbers that high. I mean, frankly, the real question is, who are the 29% who think we're on the right track? So let's hope it doesn't pass, and no Republican's going to vote for this crazy bill.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see if they withstand, those two senators withstand the pressure. I mean, they really are the only thing standing in the gap now between, I think, a bill that will put us on the track to socialism pretty fast. I want to ask you about another topic, and that is the border. You alluded to that earlier as one of the out-of-control things that is intentionally being done to our nation by this administration. We're hearing that large groups of migrants are now using drains under border barriers to sneak into the U.S. This, as the Biden administration says, they could start turning back asylum seekers at the border, as soon as next week. What do you say about that? And is this about? I guess our viewers want to know: is this about elections? Is this flooding of people into our country? Is that what this is about? New voters?
Well, first of all, who knows if they'll start? Yeah, who knows if they'll start turning people back?
Yeah.
They certainly haven't done it for the first 10 and a half months of this administration. In fact, we had a record 1.7 million illegal migrants come across our border. So this just, I think, illustrates that walls work. Walls actually direct people to a certain area if they're going to cross, and then you can do it in the right way. You can find out who's legal, who's not. That's how it's supposed to work. The Remain in Mexico policy works. That the President Biden said he's going to re-implement that policy. I've yet to see that. So, look, I mean, we had month after month. I've said many times, March was the highest month on record for illegal crossings until April. And then April was the highest month until May. And then May was the highest month until June. And June was the highest month until July, when it was 212,000. And it's dropped a little bit, but not much, frankly. So this administration's made a mess of the border. We went from a secure border to complete chaos. And again, I think the only interpretation a rational person can reach is it's intentional. So we'll see if they actually make things better, but so far they haven't done it.
What can a Republican Congress after 2022 do to help us in these crises? I mean, this is one crisis of many. We talked about investigations. What else can a Republican-controlled Congress do to kind of help relieve the pressure, say, at the border or even with the economy?
Yeah, when you get to the spending bills, we're going to have to, I think, focus on maybe just one or two key issues and say, if we're going to negotiate and work on funding the government and spending things, we're going to have to also get some basic policies done, like control of the border.
Yeah.
Or frankly, maybe it's something to do with the Justice Department, the FBI, in light of what they've done to parents, what they've done to make that agency political, which is not supposed to be how it works in our great country. So pick one or two key things and have the fight on that, and take that debate to the American people.
I hope we get to the bottom of the origins of COVID, because that is something that is, I think, on a lot of people's minds still. They haven't forgotten.
So, Congressman, I got to ask you, because on the border specifically, we've seen, especially in my home state of Texas, a lot of Democrats flip on those border areas on the city council races. We just had the most conservative member in the Texas House flip to the Republican Party. Have you had any conversation with your colleague, Henry Cuellar, on possibly switching parties? Because, this is not a Democrat or Republican issue. It's either you're for a country or you're not. Either you're for the American people. And a lot of people on those Democrat areas are saying, look, what's happening to our towns because the Democrats want open borders is just tragic. So have you talked to your colleague? Have you made the pitch to the Republican Party?
It's funny you mentioned that, Lawrence. I have talked to Henry. He's a good man, and I've actually kind of jokingly said, "When are you going to switch?" He hasn't done that yet. Maybe he will at some point. I don't know.
What do you think the holdup
you're
is,
exactly
Congressman?
Right. Pardon?
What do you think the holdup is? He's already the most conservative Democrat in the House.
He's pro-life too. He's pro-life.
Yeah, I don't know, and you're exactly right. What's happening on our southern border is so many of the people down there are switching and becoming Republican because they appreciate the policies of President Trump, for goodness sake, because they actually worked. Imagine that. So I hope we see that happen, but I do think we're going to be in control. I mean, you don't want to get overconfident. We got to keep working hard and taking our message to the American people. But I do think Republicans are going to be in control of both the House and Senate after next year's midterm elections. And then, as I said before, I think President Trump's running, and I certainly want him to.
Well, his Thanksgiving message certainly alludes to that.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely.
All right.
Congressman, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you, guys.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.